All right, we're live. I know you guys thought that was going to be like some big special thing, but it ain't. Not here at Narcoleptic Customs. Hey, I want to first off say thank you guys for coming. We've this has really kind of happened in probably the last 3 days. I put Nikko off for about a week and a half or 2 weeks, like trying to figure out a time and the date, and then Jason messaged, I think Sunday or Monday night. And I was like, listen, let's do this. Let's all jump on, because I think a 3-person panel is going to be a ton of fun. So you guys have some crazy ass stories, super cool cars. We're going to get into all that. But first, if you are in Northwest Arkansas, hit up Andy's Computer Repair. If he had not hooked me up with internet in the shop, I would be doing this from the dinner table, a lot like Nikko is. And, the wife said I couldn't do that anymore. So thanks to Andy's Computer Repair. Appreciate that for real. Thanks. And then also, anybody that donates on the YouTube setup with the super chat, obviously all of that money goes to our Rocky Mountain Race Week Fund, which we were just talking about before we started this, that I've got to get to work on the trailer. I don't even have lights on the trailer. And you guys were like, my motors are torn apart, or Jason said his motor's torn apart. Nikko said he's got no rear end in the car, so it's going to be a ton of fun. So let's do this. Let's start with Nikko. Kind of, introduce yourself, tell us what you drive, and then kind of where you're from, because we're going to get into all of that other stuff later.
Nikko Cristoferi. I drive a 1979 Chevy Malibu. It's a small block car, 355, stock crank, forged rods and pistons, a little bit of spray.
Wait. I thought that car was a Turbo LS.
Nope. Yeah.
I completely missed the boat. The funny part on that is I thought Randy Kane's Jeep was the Turbo LS too. So, hey, when you got Turbo LS on the mind, that's what you got,
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
Just working with what we got here. But the car came with a 350. It was a 4-speed car for the first 2 race weeks I did, but now it's a LT1 T56 car. That's a lot nicer, but now it's just really punishing the 10 bolts that I had in the back there, and that's getting swapped out to a 4.9-inch shaft for 2.0 this year.
Nice.
So,
yeah,
hoping that's going to hold up a little.
Yeah, 18 days.
Yeah,
18 days. So
that's a little scary.
Yeah, Jason, why don't you give us the roundabout for you there?
Yeah, we're like totally opposite ends of the spectrum. I'm a 77 Pontiac Firebird, 565 big block Chevy, Merlin block, all forged internals, twin 88 millimeter turbos from Work turbochargers, Reed Case 400, Ford 9-inch out in the back, 40 spline gun drilled, all that good jazz. That's
awesome. So that's a full-on race car.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a race car that we drive on the street. It started out a street car, but it's evolved.
Then you just went to going faster and faster. So let's run through the comments real quick. I want to say hey to 815 LSX Swaps. I am pushing him to take his twin turbo LS Fox body on 1.0 next year. Trying to co-pilot with him, unless I take the project that if I ever go pick the project up from Jonathan Stonecipher, who here says, I always heard 3-ways are a blast. And then, so if I pick the project up from him and build it, we'll take it on 1.0. Byron Frischman, hey, thanks, dude. Good to see you in here. And then, dude, he's been looking for cam and lifters for 2 years. Come on now, it's time to do it. And then Dirty Panda here says, here's to the funds. Can't wait to run with you guys next year. He's got a 240 that I think is Turbo LS that he's bringing out for 1.0 or 2.0 next year. So.
Nice.
So that's exciting. All right. Let's start with that both of you guys are from Colorado.
Yep.
How far apart are you guys?
Where are you at, Nikko?
I'm in the Denver area, like right downtown Denver, really.
Yeah, like literally 45 miles.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So obviously 1.0 kind of came around. Obviously that's a big part of Rocky Mountain Race Week, So kind of lead us into how you ended up around in that.
For me, I ended up seeing it online first, like 1320 video, and then of course Cletus and everything. And it just looked like too much fun. It's just something that I've always wanted to do, was build a car. So the Malibu was the first car I ever actually built per se. And it's just one of those things I always want to do, like definitely a bucket list type item.
That's awesome.
Peyton Bullock actually got me hooked on it. He's actually what got me back into drag racing was race week, and Peyton Bullock telling me about it, and then all the heads up street classes that were coming out in Colorado at that point in time. And here we are.
That's awesome. And it's crazy talking. And I mean, we didn't. I'm not gonna say we compete. We drove around with everybody in 2.0 last year, and we've done Power Tour twice, a couple different stops, and this is way more fun than that to me because like there's guys like you guys that are fast that take the beating all day to drive around in your car. So
it's brutal, that's for sure.
Yeah. 1.0 this year. I mean, I think that was the hottest I've ever driven around. That was crazy. Kearney was 112 degrees that day. That was like borderline unbearable for sure.
It was atrocious.
That's insanity. So now leading up to that, I mean, did you guys do any different prep like to the cars, like bigger radiators, bigger fans or anything to get ready for that kind of heat?
So we had to figure ours out the last couple years. We've changed radiators a couple times, fans a couple times, played a lot with the timing of the tune and everything, trying to keep everything cooled down. Finally got it under control really last year.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine like what it takes to, drive like a real car through all that stuff. Ours is still easy. It's an all stock Grand Marquis setup. You know what I mean? Like those cars are made to be driven by old ladies and idle with cops driving them for hours and hours. So it's easy stuff there,
Yeah.
So,
I never really had many problems with overheating or anything like that. I do have dual electric fans on the car, but they're junkyard fans. It's like nothing like crazy, like some Spalls or, and no high dollar stuff. I think it was like $80 off the junkyard or something like that, but they're holding up good. They pull like 30 amps. So, I mean, they're definitely moving some CFMs, but I think they came out like a turbo caliber or something like that.
That's what I was going to ask. Are they a factory setup or are they, did you find some aftermarket? So I've got a Dodge Journey fan on my 66 C10 truck and same thing, $30 out of a junkyard and it just rolls along.
Yeah.
Don't put a big block in that thing, dude, because it'll destroy a cooling system. I promise. Our first race week, we had 9 miles on the car and knew it was overheating when we left.
Oh no,
that's awesome.
Yeah, we got lucky that year. It rained the whole week, and we made the whole week no problem.
Yeah, rain's a big deal. I was watching a video the other day, and the guy was he's in the passenger seat, just pumping the spray bottle up, just to keep the water coming across the coolant.
We've done that too.
Yeah. Ernesto says your chink in the armor was at 7.5. So
yes, no doubt.
That's for sure. So, I mean, I saw a picture the other day. That thing is beefy. I mean, that should definitely handle what you've got in it now, and then maybe what you've got planned for the future too.
Yeah, I tried to beef up when I can. That 9 inches from Trick Chassis. It is trussed. It's a new housing. I think it's a big web housing, and then it's got billet GMNs on there. So I'm doing Blazer brakes from like a 2000 two-door, two-wheel drive Blazer. So it's very similar to like a 4th gen SS Camaro brakes.
Nice.
But it's got an e-brake in it. It's a little different. Like it's got like the drums behind the disc.
Yeah.
So they're pretty nice, and it's cheaper than doing some aftermarket setup or something like that. And I already had them on the 10 bolt, so they're going on the 9 inch. It's the only thing I'm reusing from the 10 bolt.
That's awesome.
31 spline with the spool and 411s. And the car did have 373s, so we're bumping that up a little bit. So maybe better 60 foot out of the car, increase the time a little bit. We'll see.
What trans are you running in that car?
It's a LT1 T56, so it has a small block of bell housing, but I had to do American Powertrain billet flywheel to convert it, and it runs a LT1 style clutch. I got a 6-puck clutch on it. Dude,
that's crazy. Like, that car's going to be a rocket ship. That's going to be a lot of fun. Like, the 411, that's not a huge gear change, but, like, that'll be enough to really get out there. And, like, what's the overdrive in a T56? Like 65 or something like that? Like an 065?
I think something like that. Yeah, it might even be more. I think the 065 is 5th gear, but I'm not sure.
Hell yeah. So So you'll be cruising 70, 75 miles an hour. Jason, won't you tell us like what trans and all the stuff you got?
We're just a turbo 400 with a 209 140 gear set in it. But we run a 339 rear gear on race weeks. So, we really don't do too bad out on the highway. We can do 70, 75 pretty easy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I rode in Jonathan's Nova for a little while last year and about died, but it was great. Like 65 miles an hour was no problem,
Yep.
So that's awesome. So Red Hat Scotty's in here. This will be fun. You guys, if you haven't watched his live feed or heard the podcast with him on there, you definitely need to do that. It's a good one. Tons of great stories. So let's focus first kind of on 1.0, and then we'll let that lead us 2021 1.0, and then we'll let that lead us into some previous events and things like that. Hang on, here we go. So he's saying Nikko has single-handedly skyrocketed the price of used 10-volt rear ends.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Nice. The Nikko tax.
Didn't you replace one in Kansas this year, Nikko?
That was 2.0 last year, and that was in like Perkins, Oklahoma. And I think they have like a population of like 3,500 or something like that over there.
Oh man,
yeah,
that's rough.
We were topping off gas at the gas station, and a couple of locals were just like, "Yeah, let me see what that thing can do." So I left the gas station and did a little burnout, and I hit second gear through the intersection, and just big pow. And I thought it was the transmission, but it ended up being the rear end. So I didn't even make it a block out of the gas station there.
Oh man.
And, it's as it lies, so I fixed it right there with there's an S10 ring and pinion from down the street from a wrecking yard, so that was pretty cool.
That's crazy. What time of the day is that now? Is that like morning or afternoon?
That was like right at like noon 1-ish or something like that.
Oh my
that
God.
And it's 2.0, so you drive and drag the same day.
Sure.
And it was like still 4 or 5 hours away from the racetrack when I did that. So yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's wild.
But,
hey, well, while we're talking broken parts, I mean, Jason, you got any of those little roadside repair things you had to do?
I mean, just little ones.
like fenders on the front and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, I don't think that we have ever actually broke down on the road, believe it or not. But, Pueblo this year, we rolled a new thrust bearing into the car because, we got to Pueblo and we thought everything was good. And when we got there, there was like this massive oil leak in front of the car. So I was like, oh, whatever, I'll check it out in the morning, Next morning I get up and go look at it and start pulling everything apart, and the front seal is out of it, and I'm like, oh crap, I trashed the front seal. So I pull the cover off and everything. As I'm going to pull stuff apart, all of a sudden I feel the whole crankshaft move about 1/4 of an inch. And then we commenced tearing the oil pan off and rolling in a rear main a thrust bearing, and did that day. Made our hit, drove to Bandamere, made a hit there, drove home that night and replaced the crankshaft and the transmission because we jumped the transmission driving through the mountains. And then finished the week. Wild. And we trashed another crankshaft the rest of the week too.
Nice. So I remember this story here. So Zach's talking about how you rolled into the staging lanes doing the interstate speed limit to make the end of the night.
Yeah. Well, I think I pulled in at like 8 or 9, so I only had like an hour and a half before they were shutting down the track. And I actually almost ran over Tom McGilden when he was rolling up his parachutes. So I didn't even see him because it was so dark, and I was just flying, and I'm on the horn and everything, and I didn't even see. I saw him across the way, but I didn't see like his parachutes out on the ground because he was like parked in the parking spot. But I ended up pulling in like right next to him and apologizing to his wife and everything. But she was like, "No, it's okay. We know what you're doing. Like, get it out of there and make a pass." It was pretty funny. But,
that's awesome.
I also got spoken to by someone up at the front, like the staging lanes, to like slow it down on the return road and everything too that day. I was pushing it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
But I was in third place that day too for 13-0 at True Street.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean you can't miss that. Like
Yeah.
so Stone Cipher broke or had a wheel bearing go bad, and so Timmy and I drove back to Tulsa from almost Great Bend, and then back up there, and so I missed out. I didn't make the whole week because I didn't make a pass at Great Bend. Whoop, like some heavy background noise. There we go. But I wasn't in contention. You know what I mean? It didn't matter. Like I was in like 7th place out of 8 people, so it didn't matter.
Sure.
All right, so let's jump in it. We'll start with Jason on this one. We're talking about 1.0. Like, what was your favorite day of the week that week?
I think that's easily the first day was my favorite day because I didn't have anything broken yet, and I had sleep. The rest of the week was just brutal for us between the heat. We were having to drive at night to try to keep the cars cool, I think there was 3 or 4 nights that week that I only got 2 or 3 hours of sleep. So it was just brutal. That and then the last day was good because we finished.
Yeah, you made it, especially after all that. Nikko,
Exactly.
what was your favorite day?
Favorite day, I guess, would be at Vandermeer because I didn't break anything. It was the only day I didn't break the car. I took it easy. But I ended up helping someone. I ended up giving a spare third member, Ford 9 third member that I had that I was going to build. I gave it to, was it Stephen Thompson? And he's got a 86 or 87 Malibu, and it's got a 9-inch under it, but he blew the ring of pinion up on it at Vandermeer. And I always pit by them guys. They're my buddies and everything. Yep. And that's where actually I got my T56 from. So, I had to come in solid with a third member for him. And it was my hometown and everything. So
that's awesome. So you jumped in the car and ran over and grabbed it. You're like, hey, man, I actually have one laying in the floor. It's perfect.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Coming through clutch. Cool.
Yeah.
What about you guys? What about your favorite track of the week?
That's tough. Man.
All of them.
Vandermeer, we get to race that so much. So, Vandermeer's a great track. There's no doubt about that, But I like racing different places. And Kearney, a lot of people don't seem to like Kearney. I love Kearney just because it's that old hometown track that, is not all blown up and all over itself and everything.
Yeah, I like Kearney too.
That's awesome. Let's see. Let's run through here. Hey, how about obviously your car is going to be your favorite, but like, is there any other top cars that you guys were like, damn, that's nice?
Oof. Nikko, you go first. I got to think about this.
Well, he didn't run it this year, but I am a big fan of Eli Gould's Biscayne that he runs. It's an LT1 with the T56 too, and he was my go-to guy on T56 questions and stuff like that there for a while before I made the swap. But that thing's awesome. It's like the perfect amount of crispy, and it runs 11s, and it's just a boat. You know what I mean? It's just cool to see that thing lift a tire too, and it stick shifts. So I love it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Anytime you can, get the front end up like that, and it be a stick car, and that big. Like, you got to think that car's huge.
It's massive.
25 feet long. Or whatever it is, 2-door car.
Right.
Yeah. Super cool. I need to have Eli on. He was on last year. I need to have him back on. He's got great stories. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm a really old school guy, which a lot of people probably won't believe because I drive a 2nd gen Firebird and I'm about to move into a 3rd gen Firebird. But man, all those old rat rods like Oregon Grinder, I just love that freaking car.
Yeah.
Man, that's just so badass seeing those guys rip down the road in those things, and just they're getting just punished even worse than we are in our cars. So
sure.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, those cars weren't known for sound deadening.
No.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those guys are, zoomy style exhaust, no muffler, right in front of the cab.
Yeah.
I'm a big.
Who had the Nova gasser with the gigantic blower on it this year?
Oh, with the chalkboard on the side and everything. He had everything written on it.
No. The one that was kind of just all different colors and patina and everything else.
Oh man! Somebody help us out in the comments here.
That thing was he was just making some wild passes. I mean, jumping like 3 foot sideways off the line and everything else.
Oh, is that the one that was altered? Like he had the rear
Yes,
end, like,
yes,
up like a
yes.
foot? I pitted next to that guy one day.
Dude,
I don't
that
remember
guy
his
is
name. I talked to
nuts.
him and everything. Yeah, it was pretty
Oh,
cool.
but you remember his car, don't you?
Yeah, it was like a 392 Hemi or something like that too, I think. Or something weird
Oh,
in it.
hell yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like, and you think about it, like that's some crazy shit. And then that dude drove that thing 1,300 miles or whatever, whatever it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I love about race week shit. Is like guys will just absolutely get down.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about. We'll talk about like what you do for food later. But was there any like gas stations or restaurants that you guys ate at? You were like, I'm going back there when we come back through here.
I ate that week?
Yeah, right. 2.0 when we're Oklahoma, I'm on a hunt for Surge because you can't get that in Colorado. But that just tastes like childhood to me because I remember being like 12 and just chugging cases of that stuff. And it's just different. It tastes different than Mountain Dew or anything else.
Yeah,
right.
And I don't know what it is, if it's like made out there or something like that, but it's the only place I've seen it still in production. It's like around Noble and stuff like that.
I think it's the cocaine they put in it.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. It's something.
Yeah.
Or the extra pound of sugar they add to that over Mountain Dew. They take a Mountain Dew and then add like extra sugar to it. So
yeah,
bring it on. Y'all, I just want to let y'all know my mama's in here. She said she's listening from Blyville, which is my hometown, which is Northeast Arkansas. Live in Northwest Arkansas. See her about, 4 times a year now. So, all right, let's get to it here. How about, so we talked about roadside repairs a little bit. You guys want to dig into any of that stuff? Like, I mean, obviously 10 volts, you put in a bunch of those. Any other issues along the route there?
When I had the 4-speed in it, it was eating up the main input bearing too. It was trying to punch it through the bearing retainer into the back of the crank there. And I've killed 2 of them. And then one of them I ended up like cannibalizing to put together another one too. So that's why it was another big swap for the T56 too. It seems a little bit hardier for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Jason, what about you, bud? Other than engine trans.
Yeah. It's so weird because we always end up seeming to be so fortunate on my car that when it does break, it seems like it breaks close to home, so we get to whip it into a shop or whatever. But Peyton's car last year, because me and Peyton always roll together. He's got a Fox body Mustang, with the foreign powered, but it's turbo 400. And in Great Bend last year, I ended up having to give him my spare transmission and my spare third member because he blew up his transmission and his third member in the same hit.
Oh my God. Well, hey, yeah. at least it was one. It didn't he'd go out the next round and then break the third member.
Right. So here's the weird thing about that, right? Is that I'm a Chevy and he's a Ford. Well, he runs a Ultra Bell, obviously. So in Great Bend, I'm sitting there cutting the bell housing off of my spare transmission so that he can put his Ultra Bell on it and put it in his car.
Nice.
It's like, well, I hope I don't lose a transmission the rest of the week.
Yeah, it won't be working. All right, Nikko, you got to tell us this story about losing your brakes on day one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I was riding with Royce Payton in the Nightmare Mustang and Jeremy there, who they're like high school buddies or something. And I met Jeremy through Colorado G-Bodies out here, like a Facebook page, and we've been buddies ever since. So we were doing the cruise together, the mountain cruise, and we were leaving Bandimere, and we were going, and we missed a turn, and I go to catch up to Jeremy. They're like, hey, we missed that turn. And he's like, oh, all right, and I go hit the brakes, and they go to the floor. I'm like, I got no brakes, and he's like, what? And I just start downshifting and trying to pull over, and I pull over, and I'm looking at everything, and I did that Blazer spindle swap on the front of that too, and it says you can reuse the stock lines. You just got to reroute them a little bit. But where mine has so much front end travel on it, I think it like jerked the hoses or something like that. So I had to like retighten them and bleed them at the gas station there down the street. And we were good to go after that. But I've since swapped out to braided hoses. They have more slack and they don't have any of those issues anymore. But that was definitely scary for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. It's not like you're somewhere where you can just whip over, and like, oh, hey, I'll just run in this parts store and grab this,
Yeah. We had brake fluid in the car. Luckily, I try to keep some fluids in the car and everything. So
there you go. Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about some of the stuff that people need to bring with them because, as we learned with Jonathan's car last year, you need that shit that you're not thinking you're going to need. You need to keep it. That hard stuff to get a hold of.
Yeah.
I just want to say about Surge earlier. Jonathan did say it's all the sugar and twice the caffeine. That's what it's what every 12-year-old needs is like 300 milligrams.
Yeah.
Right.
Bouncing off the walls.
Yep. So let's stay on the spare parts kick, and then I want to talk about your travel. How do you trailer it, or do you trailer your stuff for yard sale? So let's stay on spare parts you bring with you. And keep in mind, there's some newbies that'll be listening to this as well. So kind of give them some insight.
I carry like everything. I could dang near build a whole nother car. We could like say, I carry a spare transmission, a spare third member, a full set of injectors, full set of coils, 3-inch, 4-inch, and 5-inch V-bands. Rockers, push rods, head gaskets, intake gaskets, you name it. I pretty much got it. I used to carry a spare converter, but now I have a bolt together converter, so I can take it apart and clean it.
Nice.
My trailer is flipping heavy.
I can only imagine. So now you'll have to school me on big block Chevrolet stuff. So being a 565, will that, like, if someone else was in need, like your stuff could fit in their big block? Or is it?
Yeah, depends on what it is. Most of my, like I'm still running stub mount rockers right now, which is actually something that's why the car is tore apart right now, because we just destroyed another camshaft and lifter. There's a lot of stuff that'll cross over other people's. And Jonathan says he's going to start traveling with me. Fair enough, dude.
Yeah. You're going to be leading the convoy.
Right. While we're at it, I carry a ton of spare AN fittings and AN hose and AN line, radiator hose, stuff like that. So I'm happy to help anybody out along the way. I just want to see people make it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Same here.
Yeah. Nikko, what about you? Any specialized parts that you carry with you, or anything that is a must on the checklist?
My car is pretty part store friendly, where it's a small block in the LT1 T56 and everything. With the 10 volt, I did have a spare ring and pinion, and I did have a spare carrier there for a while. Besides the one time I really needed it, and out in the middle of nowhere, Perkins, Oklahoma. But after that, I started carrying one. Fluids. I didn't really carry like a lot of extra parts really. Some ignition stuff like coil and everything like that.
Right.
But the car was all pretty fresh. A lot of the driveline stuff and everything was like really recent before race week.
Great. What are you running for a fuel pump, Nikko?
Actually a Hurley mechanical, but it's a 130 gallon GPH mechanical.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Which is the same thing. It's a little scary with the nitrous too. So I got the regulator like jacked up on that, but I've been thinking about doing one of those like 1 to 3 gallon fuel cells and running its own regulator and everything like that. That's probably in the future too, if I'm going to stick with the nitrous.
Right. So, school me a little bit here. Like, at what point do you at what horsepower shot of nitrous are you beginning to worry that your regular fuel pump can't handle it? Is it like 200? 150? Not asking what you're running on your car,
Yeah.
But like, at what level do you start going, oh man, I probably need more fuel for when this thing gets on the bike?
Well, I'm pretty sure mechanical pumps are like not recommended at all for most nitrous systems. But I think anything over 100 shot, you might want to start getting a little bit more serious, or definitely like a 200 shot. Because then once you go like over 200, like 250 to 500, that's considered like pro kit or whatever. Anytime you look up stuff like that. So
Gotcha.
I'm guessing somewhere in that neighborhood. I haven't reached that far yet, though.
There's plenty of time ahead. You're set up there for sure. Jeremy here says, Jason, help me with a clamp. Then I blew up. Yeah, it was that damn clamp you offered, Jason.
It probably was. I probably gave him a defective clamp, the poor guy.
Yep. What he was tuning for the if it was like a boost clamp, he was tuning for the leak, and then it wasn't a leak anymore.
Right?
Yeah, we've had that happen. had that happen. I had a.
We just had that happen last weekend.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's crazy. We kept getting 13 on the truck, and so we're like, okay, that's where it's gonna be, you know. And then took it all back apart. Hair sprayed everything, put it all back together. It was 20. I was like, oh shit. So, but it lived, so it's fine.
There you go.
Ernesto says he has a Duramax but no trailer. Hey, listen, if you want friends, just buy a trailer, dude. It's perfect.
Yep.
Hey, you
Right.
to tow, help everybody move, all that kind of stuff. All right, so now that you guys have done a few different race weeks, sounds like, you know, 3 or 4 events apiece. Are you guys like? Do you bring a trailer? Obviously, Jason brings a trailer because he has the mobile shop. But
No, that depends. Actually, that depends upon where we're starting. If
Oh, I
we're
got
starting
you.
in Colorado, I drive the car with the trailer to the track if we're starting in Colorado.
Well, no, I'm not talking. I'm talking about like on the trip.
Oh, yeah. Always a trailer.
For 2.0 last year, we loaded everything on the cart because I thought it'd be fun. It looked cool. By about day 3, I was like, what were we thinking? Oh, my God. I almost made passes with the tires on the roof just because I didn't want to lug them down. So we're doing the trailer. Like I said, we're bringing the trailer this year. Nikko, what about you?
I'm a yard sale guy, and I drive it everywhere because, like Ernesto just said, I don't have a truck or trailer. So
Right.
I'm driving that thing everywhere and dumping my crap out in the pits and racing. But
That's awesome.
I'm trying to get a hitch set up and a trailer going, or at least a hitch basket to ease the yard sale action.
Yep.
So it's not in the car; it's just hanging off the back of it.
Yep. So
Right.
do you drive on your do you race on a radial?
I got ET Streets that I run at the track, but I have like a regular radio for the back tires that I run on the street. But I run the skinnies at the track and the street. So I don't change the front tires, just the backs.
Oh, I got you. Okay. So yeah,
And
that
then-
would definitely help.
Yeah, one of the tires rides in the trunk and one of them rides in the back seat.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, you won't know what to do with your life. You have 2 tires on the back.
Yeah, I know.
No, I want to say, in all fairness, it wouldn't matter if all I was carrying was 12 quarts of oil. I drive a 77 Firebird. There is no trunk in that
No.
thing.
No try, and you're not probably as fast as you've been in that car. You're not getting a tire in the back seat very
Yeah,
easily in and out. You know.
Yeah, it's all a little taken up with fuel cell and water box and battery, all that good stuff. There's no trunk left.
That's awesome. So let's talk co-pilots. I mean, both of you guys have co-pilots typically.
Yeah.
Yep, that was one of the questions I didn't have. I have seen several people like on their first drag and drive event, like race week, especially, they'll just come by themselves because they want to go. But man, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know if I could spend that much time by myself in my own head.
Right?
I'd have like 10 cars built and parts ordered by the time I got back home.
I mean, I pretty much do because my 13-year-old boy co-pilots with me.
Nice.
Which he's an awesome co-pilot. He's great help in the pits. He's great help at the track. But funny thing about, I guess when we started this, he was 11 the first year. 11, 12, 13 years old, you know what they do in the car. They sleep.
Oh, I figured that'd be on the
one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if that car's got 5-inch, open exhaust. He's gone. He's out.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing about it too is like you can't, like Jonathan's car, you couldn't hear anything. It didn't matter. We were using sign language to talk to each other, But is your car the same way, or do the turbos help a ton?
Oh no, you can't hear anything. My car is so freaking loud. You can yell at each other a little bit, but that's about it.
Got like a dry erase board on the dash.
Right.
That's a good idea.
Right. So 1.0, he's always my co-pilot. 2.0, obviously, he's in school. So my engine builder is actually gonna co-pilot with me for 2.0 this year. Eric McEwen of Bowtie Engine Shop. Yeah.
Now, has he ever done one of these before?
No, he's got his own car. He's got a couple of his own cars, but he is actually building a car right now that he wants to start trying to do race weeks with. I told him, dude, you got to ride with me and get a taste of this hell.
Yeah. So here's what I want to say. I definitely want to talk to that guy about day 4 because
Right?
the pins and needles that dude's going to be on all week. You making rips and driving 220 degrees, and
Right.
you're like going, oh my god. Yeah, so definitely set that up for me. I'd love to talk to him.
Right.
Nikko, what about co-pilots for you, bud?
My co-pilot's Corey Strang, and he's gone to all the race weeks with me that I've done. I think it's been 3 now. It was 1.0 and 2.0 last year, and then 1.0 this year, and we're doing 2.0 this year as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you can hear my car from 3 miles away. I got basically headers with like 18 inches of collector with a bullet muffler and a turn down. So it ain't much exhaust on that thing either. And the 4-speed was really bad. It drone you out. Like that's when I pulled up on Jonathan with that story that he did. Like he said, I was probably doing like over 80 miles an hour then, but you could hear me coming. But with the 6-speed, it's a lot better. If you get in the 6-speed, I can do like 80 at 2,500 RPM. So it's a lot quieter in the car. So it's a lot better. But 2.0 last year, earplugs and muffs and everything like that were present in the vehicles. So
yeah. Jonathan and I had talked about walkies, kind of like a walkie headset setup, except that I'm cheap and those are really expensive. But like, I think that'd be awesome. You know what I mean? Because then you could like almost hear a little bit, but
right.
That's cool. All right, let's see what we got here next. What we got? You would think as many times I've done this, I'd remember all these. We talked about sleep earlier. Let's talk about that. So Jason said he doesn't sleep. He just lives on Mountain Dew. We need Mountain Dew to sponsor the Meltdown Firebird.
Right. Yes, please.
Yeah, just send a big old check. Leave it blank. I'll fill it in. I promise.
I'll paint the new one green. No problem.
Don't care. Bring it on. I definitely want to talk about the new one too in a minute because that car looks so awesome. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Nikko, sleep. Do you get any of it? Do you hang out in the parking lot at night? What's going on?
Very rarely. I'm usually up till at least 2 a.m. putting the 10-volt back together. But everyone's been razzing me when I'm sending them the 9-inch and everything like that. That like you're not gonna know what to do. You know what I mean? Just hanging out because you're not gonna have to work on anything now. But I was always up almost every night putting everything back together or packing the car. So there was very rare do you get more than like 4 or 5 hours a night on a race week or something like that. So
especially on 2.0, I imagine.
Yeah. My co-pilot's parents do road week and they have an RV. So we actually crashed in the RV. And the first one we didn't have that. We did the hotels, but it was almost a waste of money because you're just going in there, you're dumping your stuff, maybe taking a shower, maybe get 4 hours if you're lucky, and then you're back out the door, So the RV situation's nice, and she's been feeding us and everything like that. My co-pilot's mom and everything, so she has like pre-done meals and everything, and leaves us with breakfast sandwiches in the morning. But the first 1.0, it was hotels and fast food and everything else like that. And my co-pilot Corey couldn't do it; his guts were all messed up. But it doesn't really bother me none. But,
gas station burritos, man. By day 3, I'm like, I can't do any more of this, dude. I gotta have something decent.
Right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. The one other thing I thought while you were saying that was like, you're not traveling to a hotel, so like sometimes these places book up. You drive all day, 8 hours worth of driving at least. You race 2 or 3 passes. It's 10 o'clock. You got to leave. Well, shit. Now you got an hour to drive to get to your hotel. So that's usually the big struggle.
I'm right there with Nikko. We my good buddy Trevin drives our RV, and my wife and kids all come along for 1.0. And hey, thanks, Randy. Lots of love to you too, man. And my wife is freaking like the greatest track wife in the world, dude. She sits there and feeds us all week and all that stuff, and runs the kids around, and keeps them all gathered up and everything.
Yeah, we're definitely going to hang out with you now.
Yeah, right. And if you're nice to her, she'll probably have a cold beer for you too.
Oh man, dang! Listen now, hey, I'll buy beers for everybody. Hopefully, we won't be working on anything all week.
Right.
That'll be nice.
But 2.0, we're winging it this year. We were going to wing it last year, and I'm not sure how that's going to go down. But I'm with Nikko. Like by the time you get a hotel room, like what's the point? Especially for us because we usually got to drive at night and everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's just too much maintenance to do on the car the next morning and whatnot to drive during the day.
So, Part of our I will say this: I am bringing a cot We have hotel rooms with the 301 guys. You guys are more than welcome to shower, sleep on the cot. If there's an extra side of the bed open, you guys can take that. You know what I mean? Like we're not shy over here in the setup we've got going on.
Right.
Cisneros Speedworks is nice hat, Jason.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
That's that right there. Can't imagine why they like it.
All right, let's talk. Well, let me say this about sleep on my end. So, we stay at the track till basically it closes. Then I drive to the hotel, 30, 40 minutes, whatever it is. Try and get some food on the way. And then I'm up till probably 3 editing and uploading YouTube videos, trying to get something out, as that 1320 video takes off, I want to be right in behind that on some of our YouTube stuff. So yeah, I completely understand the no sleep deal. It's brutal. Last year I think I was up till 3 the first 3 nights, and then the day with the least amount of recording, we were up 22 hours, and then slept 3, and then drove all the rest of the way in. It was pretty wild. Sleep is not your friend that week.
No.
But what's crazy is the lead up to that too. You're not getting any sleep because you're trying to make sure the car's ready. And hell, you guys have real parts to put together before you can get there. So, with technically what'll be after this 17 days until we leave, you guys have a ton of work. I got to wire a trailer. That's about it for me.
It's just I got to put a cam in and put the top end of the motor back together. Go do another race before that.
Oh.
And so, you had for your rear end on the setup, Nikko, is it just ready to bolt in? Is it like a bolt-in kit, or was it just a rear end? You got weld brackets and all that kind of stuff.
No, it's a drop-in 9-inch for a G body made by Trick
Sweet.
Chassis. So yeah,
That's
it just
cool.
drops in. But I did have a control arm that had bent the bolt and seized the double adjustable on one of the uppers there. So I actually just finished sawzalling it out of the frame last night. So I got that out, and the guys over at Southside Machine they hooked me up with another full set of arms, all powder coated and everything on warranty for it.
Dang.
So that was really cool of them with all new hardware and everything. They've been super helpful.
Yeah.
I got their whole super handling kit in it. It's got tubular uppers in the front and then fully adjustable tubulars in the rear on all 4 because it's 4-link. So it's pretty nice. But it's like stock shock and stuff like that. I didn't do coilovers or anything like that, but I did get adjustable coil sleeves welded onto the axle. So if I do have it packed up heavy there, I can have 1.5 inches of adjustability on the bottom of the coil there too to raise it if I need to.
Oh, nice.
Not the typical slide the thing in and you twist it.
No, yeah, no. Stuff a football in there or something. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right, Nikko, now you got to drop your Snapchat and tell everybody what it is.
My Snapchat's Jeep Creep 99 if you really want to follow it. I was definitely a big Jeep guy before I started doing some of the drag racing there. That's actually how I met my co-pilot as well. We did a lot of Jeeping out here before we got into the hot rod stuff, and he wasn't a car guy by any means. So he's always wanted to know about that stuff, and I never had anyone to show him. So I've been kind of just taking him along with me here, and that's on 1.0, the first one last year. He bought a 65 Rambler wagon just on a whim. That was on the side of the road.
You got to tell that story. All right, so because that's one of my notes. You got to tell that story because this is pretty funny.
Yeah, so that was 1.0 last year, and that was the mountain run. The same day I think I lost the brakes and everything. That was the first thing that right leaving Bandimere. But this is after we got to the mountains and all that stuff, and even Royce Payton's battery blew up that day too, and I saw them guys yard sale out of the car on the top of the mountain there, just huffing battery acid. But once we had that all figured out, and we're going down the road because the mountain part's beautiful and everything, but once you get past that, going towards Sterling into Kearney, it's just nothing for hours. And it was one of those days. It's 100-something degrees now. You just cruising, your feet are melting to the floor. You just want to get out of the car, and we ended up going by this place in Sterling. He had a bunch of old COE cab over GMCs and affordable door Malibu out front. So we stopped and turned around and went to go look at the stuff because some of them had for sale signs and everything. So my co-pilot's curious, and the guy heard us pull up in my car, so he popped out and everything and gave us the full tour, and he had more stuff out back that you couldn't see, and that's where the Rambler wagon was. And we didn't grab it then, but he got his information, and just like he wouldn't stop talking about it. Like after that, it was just on his mind the whole week. And the week that we were back, he bought it, and the guy brought it down to him and everything.
Hell yes.
That's gonna need a little bit of a work though. It's one of those like it looks great when you first get it or whatever, but as soon as you start working on it and everything, it needs some work. But
Nice.
we were just gonna get it running and just like cruise around in it or whatever. He said it ran when parked or whatever,
No,
but it
God.
actually had piston like cracked in half in it and everything once we started getting into it. It was all locked up. But he's doing like rust repair, and we got a 302 for it and 8.8. And we're probably going to do a T5 in it, but we're not sure yet. We don't have that yet. But just something like a 4-wheel little cruiser, little beater wagon type deal. It should be fun.
So it ought to have good patina if it's in that. It should be in that little belt of weather right there.
Yeah, it's white, and it does have some good patina, and it wasn't like a lot of rust, but it had some little cancer around the windshield there on the top and everything, too, like in the corner of the A-pillars and everything. So he's dealing with that now.
That's cool.
Should be cool when it's done.
Yeah.
I'm a sick car.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the just get it running. Freiburger. I live by it don't have to be right. Yeah, it don't have to be right. Just run it.
Yeah.
You can work on shit after it's going. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
We did the LS in the old truck, and I drove it bone stock 4.8, bone stock 80E. Just drove it like that while I gathered parts and built the turbo kit. You know what I mean? I've tons of friends, just like you guys have. Guys. Oh man, I'm gonna build this whole setup, and then I'm gonna put it all together, and it takes 5 years. And we had 2,000 miles and a year's worth of driving on the truck before I even put the turbo in.
Yeah, I got so many of those projects around; it's not even funny.
Nice. The struggle with that is that you end up buying new parts. You're like, oh man, this turbo is better. It's only $600. I'll buy this newer, nicer turbo. Now I've got 2 turbos, different sizes. So me, I'm a dumbass. I'd put both of them some bitches on. You know what I mean? It's just.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
We're always about one burnout away from breaking. I don't know if you guys have seen the video where I broke the drive shaft in the truck. I mean, like that's normal stuff. We'll repair it and be back to going in a couple of weeks after race week. We got stuff to do before race week.
Yeah, I watched that video and I saw her wheel hopping. I'm like, oh boy, that can't be good.
Yeah. So I knew I was going to be in trouble when the concrete was like, you couldn't really rub your foot across. I was like, oh man, but the truck makes 500 shitty tires. I was like, okay, no big deal. Well, in the video, you hear it like, then wow. I was like, oh shit, it broke loose. Here we go. And it had not broken loose. The drive shaft had broken loose.
Yeah.
So, fun times, good stuff. So I've got an 8.8 that'll go in it after we get back from race week. That's full bore on that thing. Nice. All right. So we talked food. We talked, meal times. But what about like road snacks? Like what's I guess the best way to put it. So I eat Sour Patch Kids like by the handful. So there's always a bag of Sour Patch Kids between the seat whenever I'm driving. Is there something like that for you guys?
I'm a beef jerky. Yeah.
Yep. And sunflower seeds.
Yeah. Beef jerky and potato chips for me.
Nice.
Yeah. I like the rush of sugar, and then you get that nap.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. We stop at a gas station. There's gonna be a Reese's Big Cup, but it ain't gonna make it to the car.
Oh, all right. I like gummy bears too. That's the thing to go to.
Nice. That's funny. All right, what we got here? Let's see. What we talked about? What do we got next, guys? Trying to make sure we get through all the questions. Oh, and I screwed something up. There we go. I think that's probably it. I've got here go-to gas station food. Like gut bomb burritos. I think has probably been the the biggest.
The green chili one.
Oh,
the big green chili bomb. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I feel bad for the co-pilot. Like in y'all's cars, anyways. The cart, I mean, it fans a fart pretty quick, But enclosed cars at 70 and 100-degree day, not a good idea for a burrito.
No.
All right, so that kind of wraps up like 1.0 stuff and kind of like how you prep for race week. Let's tell stories now. So I want to start with Jason because he has a car that he's building. If no one's seen it, Tell why you're going to a new car, because I think there's something kind of cool in the Firebird now, and then what your plan is for the new one.
Yeah, so the Firebird now we put into the wall last year on 2.0. First night, I think it was our third or fourth pass. I think it was our third pass. We were really pushing for an 850 at that point, because we were running limited streak still in the car at that point. And about, I don't know, 60 or 100 feet out, something like that, the car spit a freeze pudding out the right side. And when it did that, we put 5 gallons of water under the right tire and went hard right straight into the wall. And I kind of had an epiphany at that point. I realized I was way more attached to that car than what I thought that I was. I've had that car since I was 19 or 20 now. I bought it for $350 out of some dude's driveway. It was a ratted out pile of crap, primer gray, dents in every corner of it, rusted piece of junk, And I delivered pizzas in that car. I drove that car to and from work. And then 10 years ago, when my wife and I got married, which actually our anniversary is next weekend. Happy anniversary. But we took that car from that state to its first build state in 3 weeks' time. Me and like 20 of my buddies that were over here helping me until 2, 3 in the morning, and then going to work the next day. And we painted it. We put 14-to-1 compression 327 in it, a turbo 350, all that stuff. And my wife and I drove that car away from our wedding in what we do in my family that's called a wedding chase, where everybody chases the bride and groom all over town on the way to the reception. So just been a lot of memories in that car. And then, me and Peyton built that car together. That was our first kind of race car that we built together,
Yeah.
And we've taken it from nothing to something, and now a lot of people know it, and it's just become really special to me. My kids want to have it someday, So that was the point at which I was like, it's time. We need to get into something different and put this car back to a life of ease on the street.
Yep. So what'll be the setup for that car? Just a NA setup?
Oh God, no. No.
It's not going to be a cruiser. It's going to be a bruiser.
It's gonna go back to a Gen 6 454 block, aluminum head, single turbo, on 275 radials. I'll probably cut the 750 cage out of it and just run a 850 cage with swing out door bars and stuff. That way I can put the seats back in it and everything.
Yeah.
And pick the kids up from school and all that good stuff, and maybe hit the occasional, just like True Street class or something like that.
That's cool. But your next car, same line. So tell us a little bit about it and kind of what the plan is for it.
So we have been trying to figure out for, I don't know, Brent and Peyton and Trevin and even talking with Matt Frost a little bit here and there and stuff, been trying to figure out what we wanted to go. Talking with Royce a lot actually too. And kind of finally came to the conclusion that we were probably going to buy something. And then I came across another second-gen Firebird shell, so I bought it. And then I was talking to Vince Rui about having him build me a chassis, and we were going to do that. And then here, just a couple months ago, we were on vacation back in Iowa, and this car pops up that ended up being the car we were buying that was like 4 or 5 hours from where I was in Iowa. And it's an 85 Pontiac Firebird. It's a 650 Cert Chrome Ollie chassis, running a 33 16.5 tire. So big old steamrollers. It's going to get the power plant that's in Meltdown right now, plus a different top end. And we'll be gunning for probably north of 3,000 horsepower next year on methanol.
Damn, son. That's awesome. That's awesome. Nikko, have you told Ernesto that you do have a badass G-body?
Yeah, right. Well, recently out here, I've seen 2 different ones. I've seen an 86 Monte Carlo that's already had a certed 850 cage in it. That's just ready for either a small block or a big block to drop in with a 9-inch and everything. And then just today for 5,000, I saw 80 Malibu, the same thing with the 850 cage in it, with motor plates and everything sitting in it, just waiting for engine and transmission. And I'm like, yeah, man, if only I had $5,000 sitting around, I probably would grab that.
Right? Oh man, yeah. Somebody let me borrow about 15,000 so I can buy this $5,000 car and build it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Anytime anybody, because man, y'all know how it is. People will see a cool car that's kind of in your wheelhouse, you know, and they'll send it to you. Oh man, look at this! This is for sale. I'm like, dude, that's great. And then it'd be like $3,000. I'll be like, perfect. Can I borrow 5?
Yeah.
I can get this thing and put a motor in it. Ah, dude. Stuff with Cletus here saying, is the chat working? It is, bud. It is. All right, so let's talk future plans for your car, Nikko. You had hinted a little bit, maybe at some point there was an LS in your future.
Yeah,
you know
possibly.
me, I'm like, I'm all aboard the LS train.
Yeah, for sure. It just seems too easy and just too plentiful, and even like parts seem to be cheaper on the LS platform than small block now.
Yeah.
As much as I like the small block and the simplicity, and people do think my car does move out pretty good, and they come over to come check it out, and it's got like painted center bolt valve covers on it and just a double pumper, and they're like, what?
Yep.
So,
That's awesome.
you know, I like, you know, tricking people like that. So I wouldn't mind doing like a really stout small block too, like a 434 or something like that, you know, and just put like the serpentine assembly on it and everything. But that'd be pretty funny to me. You know, it's a good set of heads, but still have means to bolt on accessories or something like that, so you wouldn't really, you know, see it coming.
You sneaky bastard.
Yeah. But
I love it, dude.
The LS and a big single, I mean, it just looks so good inside of a G-body engine compartment too. It's like it's meant to be there. So I mean, it's hard to, you know, to deny that. And you know, banging gears is fun and everything like that, but it seems like, you know, an auto with a brake, it'd definitely be a lot faster. So, you know, there's always that quest for speed, and just like parts breakage, because people are doing 8s and 7s and 6s or whatever with a stick, but you see like was it Bill Armstrong's like mountain of input shafts that are all twisted and stuff like that. I don't know if I could do that, although his controller looks cool. I like to look into that as well. That seems like that's going to be like the wave of the future as far as stick cars go too. For sure.
Well, and what's crazy is, you know, it almost makes it like a slipper clutch, and those have been on you know, sport bikes forever. So I mean, I really like the thought process of the what's he call it? It's not Billy.
Bang shift Billy.
Bang shift Billy.
Yeah.
That setup is awesome.
Yeah. But instead of crawling under the car and changing weights and screws, you just flip open an app in your phone. So that seems handy, especially for race week stuff. If you do multiple passes and only have a limited amount of time and all that stuff. So I just mean, that's a great idea. I like it.
Yep.
So
the limited number of passes made me think. I wonder how many days do you guys go one and done? Like, is that multiple days a week, or are you guys running a couple different passes each day?
I don't think I've ever done a one and done, to be honest. It's usually like at least a minimum of 3, I think.
Yeah.
So I used to be the same way, you know. I probably even last year, I think I was pretty much always 3 passes at least a day, sometimes 4 or 5. This year we just started leaning on the car so hard and everything. And obviously when you're running around with trash crankshafts and stuff, you get your one pass and go. Try to save the car.
You're happy to finish the week. But if you're having big issues like that and it's day 3, you're like, no, listen, the night of day 2, you're like, listen, we're just gonna make the week and have fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's an interesting, you know, because the Mac TV guys, you know, they were talking about like Gap Train. They made like 2 of their days were one and done or more, you know, and then other days they made 5 passes, you know.
Right.
So that's always interesting. If they would just let me pull up and do burnouts and back out, I don't care. Like I'm there for the burnout. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're definitely. Go ahead.
You know, honestly, I mean, I kind of almost this year was starting to kind of get jealous of you guys that are still doing, you know, 3, 4, 5 passes a day. Just because, you know, when you start going faster, you start kind of losing out on some stuff. You know, you've got to really think about that. You know, hey, if I shell a piston I'm done. There is no junkyard LS for me to go grab.
Well, hey, I'll tell you this: watching a bunch of 15-second cars is boring as hell. So y'all just keep going fast. You can make 1 or 2 passes. I don't care. Well, if it was a whole bunch of 14-second cars, like what the card is, it'd be a really boring week.
Right.
So that's crazy. All right, what do we want to talk about? I feel like I don't want to get to work just yet. We went through all of this stuff. So we had the Rambler story earlier. Jason, any crazy ass stories of you buying stuff on the side of the road?
Oh, have I ever bought something on the side of the road?
Like during a race week or drag and drive event?
Yeah, outside of race week, obviously, all the time, right? I mean, come on. When I bought the race car this year, I bought a race car, a trailer, and what the heck was the other thing? There was one other thing that I bought that week to be able to make it all jive and get back home. I can't remember what the third thing was, but there was 3 things that I bought in 1 week to make that jive.
While you were on vacation?
While I was on vacation. Again, I've got the greatest race wife in the world because she didn't see me for like 3 days. So I was gone looking at race cars and trailers and everything else.
Nice.
But on race week, well, I mean, I guess my first race week back in, 19, the very first night. So first race week, first pass ever on a race week, right? We let go of the button on that first pass, and boom, it blows apart the third member. Ford 9-inch third member, right? And I believe Andrew Melton, I think it's Andrew Melton, walks up to me in the pits and is like, because we had put it out there, like, we need a third member. And he walks up to me in the pits and is like, I got a third member in my trailer that I've been carrying around for like 3 years waiting for somebody to need. I was like, what are you going to have for it? He's like, $1,000. I was like, get that thing over here.
Oh my.
And that was the third member that we ran the rest of that year, the next year. And now that it ran this year in Peyton's car. He's running that third member now.
That's
so
crazy.
it's been around the block now,
Sounds like a good buy.
Yeah, it was a great buy, dude. It was a Curry third member and everything, and it's worked great.
Awesome.
Nice.
Nico, how many 10 bolts have you bought?
Total. It's been the same housing since I've had the car, but like at least 3 or 4 carriers, and like same thing, 3 or 4 sets of ring gears too. And I chewed up a set of Moser 28 spline axles on 1.0 this year as well. It was like my Facebook profile picture. It's just a twisted 28 spline, and me just laughing at it. But those are all bent up now, so I think that's pretty much. And that housing's done now, so there's not much left of it. So
that's crazy. What's it? I mean, are you buying that? Like, is that like a $50 or $60 part? Like $150 gear set?
The gear sets you can get cheap, like those S10 stuff like that. I usually go junkyard hunting. If you find a 4-cylinder S10 in the 80s, it's going to have a set of 373s or 410s in it, and they bolt right up to my car. And when I had the 4-speed, I ran 342s, and that was 4th gen Camaro stuff. Because I ran 2 Posies. I've blown 2 of those up too out of a 4th gen Camaro, a Torsion Zexel one and a clutch style Posi, which is now basically a spool that's all welded together.
Yeah.
Eli Gould's brother helped me out with that at 1.0 this year. So
welded diffs are life, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
it's the only way to do it.
Yeah,
on slow stuff, anyways. Now, on fast stuff.
We've all run them. Run them.
Yeah.
That one I got in Oklahoma on 2.0 last year from that random wrecking yard. At first, the guy didn't even want to give it to me. He's like, no, we don't sell any parts. I buy a lot of cars on auction and all this other stuff. He's like, I have some stuff sitting out back, this and that. He's like, I really don't sell anything. And then I just plead my case. I tell him, I'm on a podium finish right now. Like, I've got 5 hours to get to the track. Like, I see the S10 right there. Like, can I kind of look at it, please? And he had a change of heart once I told him the whole deal and just let me grab it. And then actually another guy I was competing in 13.0 with, Shane Werner, and he's actually in the bike class now. He's running like a ZX10R or something like that in 1.0 this year. And but him and his wife were running their diesel 335 BMW, and they actually gave me a ride up to the wrecking yard and then let me use their tools to pull it out of the S10 and everything, and gave me a ride back. And that guy was actually the person that did the main refuel for that guy that just beat that Cannonball Run record too with that rental Mustang. He was the guy that fueled him up like midway through the country there in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma.
That's awesome.
He was showing me the truck and the gas tanks and everything. It was like these 300-gallon, like those like what do we call them, like the dump tanks or whatever. He had 2 of those on a flatbed, and they filled up the Mustang with it right on the side of the highway and kept going. That's the guy that gave me the ringing pinion, so that was cool. But Shane gave me a hand with that, and then same thing with the whole lack of sleep and everything like that. With the reverse threads on the ring gear, I broke 3 of them going to zip them out with the gun. I just tried to back them out like a regular bolt, and I snapped them into the ring gear. I did 3 of them before I figured out. I'm like, oh wait, it's reverse thread. And I back out the rest of them, and the guy from the towing yard came and checked up on me. I'm like, oh, I messed up. I got these stuck in there, and he went and actually pulled them out for me at the shop and saved the ring gear. And then we got it back together. And I even had to swap a bearing on the pinion too, because the pinion bearing was different, and none of the parts stores out there had it. So I had to reuse my old one. And then some guy, some fab shop in that Perkins town, he had like a no prep Fox body Mustang or whatever, but he's like a volunteer firefighter. But he's in the shop working, and we pull up on him. I'm like, hey, can you pull this off and put this one on for me? And just drops what he was doing in his shop and just grabs the stuff and he presses it off and puts the other one on. And he even had a flap wheel to death, one of his bearing like grabbers for the press, so it didn't mess up my bearing. He like thinned it out with the flap wheel, so it grabbed like the inner part of the race and not ruin it. And got it off, and we got it on and everything, and I got it back together and made still made like 4 passes that night where I was doing 80 in the return road and everything like that. So
wow,
that's badass.
That was probably the craziest day I've ever had on race week, and I got a $160 ticket too. Doing like 95 and a 55 right on the Oklahoma-Kansas border there.
Dude just walks up. You're like, I don't give a shit. Give me the ticket. I got to go.
I got to go.
Bullshit.
Yeah. And that was like an hour.
Over. Yep, speeding. Fucking write the ticket. I got to go.
That's definitely the fastest ticket I've ever received. So that was pretty cool of the trooper, at least for that. But that was probably like an hour before I pulled up on Mr. Stone Cypher there as well with his story.
Nice.
So that was an eventful day for sure. That's probably my most eventful day on race week I think I've had.
Yeah, that day was wild, man. It was, because it was almost 6:00 when we decided to head to Tulsa. So, dude, it was just like, oh my God, it's 230 something miles one way from where we were to Tulsa. So we had already driven, the 200 or 300 miles, 230 miles, I think, that day, and then to drive another almost 500, it was brutal.
Yeah. So
it was fun though, man. And it's crazy because like all the fun times we had that week, I won't remember that shit 10 years from now. I'll remember that, we drove into whatever the nearest town was, trying to find a carrier bearing that we could then press off from like a 60s Chevrolet truck that was the same, that would have been a replacement for the wheel bearing for that gun drilled axle or whatever the hell he had. So
wow.
It was crazy. We spent 2 hours looking for the part because, obviously everybody was traveling. This is another good tip. An hour and 8 minutes in, and I'm fixing to give a good tip here. If somebody has a wheel bearing that's bad and it's not a car like that's easy to get, when people drive by, thumbs down. Don't just go, hey, we're good. We think it's okay. No, thumbs down. Start posting on the Race Weekers page immediately, trying to find something. Because we all follow the same route. It's not like people are on the interstate trying to get to the place. We're all on the same route. So
right.
Typically, now that we're going to follow Jason everywhere because he's leading the convoy.
Just so you know, Peyton always leads for me, and he runs really good interference. He actually had a fuel line taken out by a dead something or another in the road this year. So
nice. I've hosted a couple of drag and drive events now, and it is wild to think about trying to, because ours are typically overnight. It's wild to think to try and do that over a week. You know, and now not only one a year, now they're doing two, and you know, I hope they're thinking about doing a third and going further east.
No.
I'd love to do that.
No, I can't do a third one. Like, I'm out on vacation time.
Screw it. Quit. Just quit. It's fine. Yeah. Jonathan says now he has a spare 40 spline.
Nice. I'll be happy to loan it to you.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of that stuff, it's crazy because you end up, you got to find the weak point, I guess, you know. And for guys like me, I won't make 15 passes all year long. Like the other 360 days of the year, I won't make 15 passes. But race week, it's 3 a day minimum. You know, I'm up there as often as 11. So.
I made 15 passes last weekend.
Nice. Yeah, we're cruise nights and burnouts and ice cream around here most of the time. So, you know, because we don't have anything fast. You know, the old truck hopefully will run 11 with a sticky tire on it. It's just built to have fun. So I'm sure it'll have real bad wheel hop when we put a sticky tire on it.
That's fun.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. All right, what else we got, guys? Anything else you wanna say to anybody as we lead out here, or you want to keep talking stories? What do you got? It's up to y'all.
You mind if I give a shout out to a couple people?
Do it.
You know, we definitely, like, we've got a lot of people that support us, and they support us strong. And Bowtie Engine Shops is right at the top of that list. Man, those guys just freaking knock it out of the park for us. They're just a father and son team doing their deal, you know, and they help us out a ton. Brent Coddington obviously does our tuning for us. Brent's freaking phenomenal and become far more than just a tuner for us. He's a close personal friend these days. And then Crower, Lewis, we all know Lewis, and man, Lewis takes good care of us. He's the one that's grinding the new camshaft for us right now. We just trashed it on Saturday. I was messaging him like Saturday night, how long till you can have me a new camshaft, you know? And Sunday he's like, I'll check first thing in the morning. And he just messaged me today and said it'll be in the mail tomorrow. So Crower always knocking it out of the park for race weekends for sure.
That's awesome. All right, Nikko, now we got to hear the story.
Yeah. What do you drive, Nikko, daily?
So I drive a 1997 Honda Civic that's full of bullet holes at the moment.
That's right. I remember this.
Yeah. So it was like 4 days after I bought it. So I fix boats for a living, but to feed my race car, addiction, I do like the driver apps like after hours sometimes, like for like food delivery and stuff like that. So that's what the Honda's purpose was.
Yeah. And
so 4 days after I bought it, I was done doing some deliveries in it. And right by my house, I'm not in the most savory of areas, I guess you can say. And there was two gentlemen arguing outside of the 7-Eleven that I had stopped at to grab something before I went home. And I think nothing of it because it's like the usual out there. And I go inside the 7-Eleven and I make it like 2 aisles inside of the 7-Eleven and 17 shots like ring out. And they shot at each other through my car because I parked in between them. So it's just, I blew all the side windows out, the sunroof, there's holes in the C-pillars and stuff like that. I ended up keeping it still because it was like 4 days after I got it. I'm like, whatever, you know what I mean? And I put new windows in it myself from the junkyard, and I actually picked a slug out of the door panel when I was putting the new glass in it and everything.
Nice.
But that they never caught anyone or anything like that.
Oh, yeah, those cameras at 7-Eleven, they're shitty.
Yeah, and then not even 2 weeks ago, it actually got stolen right out of my apartment complex. I don't know why anyone needs an Accord full of bullet holes. But they took it, and Ernesto that's been commenting on here, he let me borrow his T56 G-Body Cross member as long as I bought him a new one. And the brand new one that I ordered to replace the one that he gave me was in the back seat of the car when it got stolen. And they took that. And I had some tools they took in it, and they chopped the catalytic converter off of it. But it wasn't even 5 minutes from my house where I found it, and I found it, not even the police.
Damn.
And then the day after I was driving it to work, on the way home, it actually threw a rod through the block too. It just blew the engine up in it. And I've been just, sinking thousands of dollars into my Malibu to make 2.0. I just didn't even have, funds to buy another vehicle at this point. So the other weekend I went and put a junkyard motor in it as well. So the car's just been nothing but a headache basically. But driving on the apps, I have made like $6,000 or something like that. So it has paid for like my 6-speed swap and the 9-inch and all the other stuff that I've broken along the way. So that, it's paid off, but it's been a bumpy road for sure.
Yeah. So let's talk shitty daily drivers for a minute, because I think you and I've had the conversation. So my daily, when it's raining, is a 93 Tercel, 2-door, 4-speed, no AC car. If it's not raining, I'm either on my bicycle or in the cart typically. And I choose to drive shitty dailies because I wanted to shop. So, I can either make a car payment or I can make a shop payment. I've made a shop payment. So
right.
That's
I'll probably do the same move.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it was a no-brainer for me. And the original intention was to turn, jobs in here, which we've done a little bit, but mainly those jobs have paid for race week. So,
right.
And parts. Jason, what do you drive daily?
Man, I'm like, now I kind of don't even want to say, because you guys are like, yeah, I drive this shit box, and I drive that shit box, I used to drive my wife's old Suburban because I bought her a new one.
Nice.
Or a newer one, not a new one. So I used to drive an old 01 Suburban with a 5.3 and 250,000 miles on it, dents and scratches and everything else. But I guess it was last winter, spring, when I finished my my 78 Ford Crew Cab that I've been building for the last 10 years, I was like, why am I driving this freaking Suburban every day? I have cool stuff to drive, and that's like me. So it's always either I've got my 78 Ford Crew Cab that's coming swapped, and 4-wheel drive on 01 F350 Super Duty axles, and everything, or it's my 1970 Cutlass with a 455 and a 4-speed.
That's badass. There's nothing cooler than old dailies. Like when the old truck was running and didn't have drive shaft laying in the dirt, I would drive it a bunch too, just because, man, I'm telling you, there's nothing like pulling up. Well, all right, here's a perfect example. The Rambler story, right? The Rambler.
Right.
If you had pulled up in that bullet hole Honda Civic, that dude wouldn't have even come outside.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I will say Jonathan Stonecipher is the wore-out Suburban king. He has at least 3 Suburbans. One of them super nice. The other 2 are, not as nice, but still run dry. He uses one of them as a field rig, to give you an idea. Coastal Auto Reaction here is talking about 98 Grand Cherokee with the 5.9 and then a 70 D100. His daily.
So before I bought my Honda too, I also daily a 99 Jeep Cherokee that's lifted on like 32s. Yeah. And that actually blew a rear end in February, I think it was. And I put one in, and then a week later it blew the transmission in it. And I put that in, and then I had a misfire that I just couldn't figure out. But I actually had a harness issue, and I had fixed the harness, but it still has the misfire. So it took out the PCM, I'm pretty sure. And I've been on the hunt for a used PCM, but I can't for the life of me find one.
Yeah, where would you even find that sumbitch?
Yeah, so it's just hanging out in the corner right now.
That's crazy. Well, hey, so obviously the U Pull It here in town's doing a Labor Day sale weekend, so I'll be over there Saturday. Send me, message me what you need, and I'll look and see if there's something out there. Right. I'm sure it'll be cheap as 30% off or whatever. But hell, I mean, what's that thing? $30 anyways.
Yeah.
Shopcat, what's up? Bad Tree Productions. Hey, good. If you guys don't follow these guys, they're awesome. Let's see. Here we go. You're 212.
So I was dailying my pit bike for like a week or two, and it was funny because my boss actually ended up offering me to pay for my Uber if I wanted to take an Uber. He thought like I didn't have money or something like that. I'm like, I actually genuinely enjoy riding my pit bike into work. Yeah. It's like 9 miles and it's a side road, so. I got the 212 awesome. Harbor Freight motor on it. It does like 40. So it's actually a fun little ride. You can hit the sidewalks and just in the side streets.
Yeah.
You get buzzing lights and everything
Yep.
else like that. So with
That's
the
what I was gonna
downtown
say.
Denver traffic, it's actually faster than taking
Yeah.
a Honda in some days. So it's pretty funny.
You're jumping in and out of ditches and shit. Like people are like, "What the
Oh,
hell,
yeah.
man?" You're like,
I actually
like,
took a nasty digger like a month back on it, and I'm like just finally recovering. I hurt my ankle pretty good and everything, but
Damn.
yeah. I don't have the best of luck. I don't know if you ever caught this trend or not, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm picking that up for sure. That's awesome. All right, well, y'all, I'm gonna cut it. I really do appreciate you guys coming on, spending an hour and a half here with me.
Appreciate you
it's
having
awesome.
us.
We're gonna do this quite a bit on 2.0 coming up. I don't know if we'll go live or if I'll record them and add them to videos. I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet. It'll depend on the, obviously the service that we'll have. If we end up drinking beer in a hotel parking lot, though, we'll definitely probably throw it up live on YouTube for sure, because obviously our fans over there enjoy watching some of the race week stuff, and everybody else has all the stuff covered. So drinking beer and having fun and hanging out, talking cards, that's kind of what we're into. So
Sounds like a good time to me.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Well, y'all, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I want to say thanks to Andy's Computer Repair again. It would be not nearly as much fun if I had to do this from the house. So
Yeah, tell them to come up to Greeley, Colorado and do my shop, will you?
yeah, I'm telling you, man, it was so great. It's like this antenna setup. Like we have the Wi-Fi, or we have plug into the modem at the house. It fires signal back here to some antenna, and then plug it in. It's good to go.
Oh,
It's
man,
great.
I got to talk to these guys.
Yeah, it's a cool setup. And it's relatively cheap. I mean, he made us a deal because I'm gonna wear his ass out on this kind of stuff. But so,
There you
all
go.
right, y'all. I'm gonna close it out. You guys stay with me. I'm gonna end it for these guys. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.